Good evening, everyone. How are we all doing?
You good yourself?
Still alive, and that's got to be a good thing.
Hello, hello.
So, Santa play, huh? I've got five of you, I think. It's not too bad for a random Tuesday night. Oh, sorry, I should get off. The session's recorded, so you know. So we'll be doing the usual thing that we do with all our Zoom sessions. We'll put it up. This one will put it up as a listed, not an unlisted video. So anyone that wants to watch it can. It won't just be restricted to people in the dev squad. Um, our teams that play against us are welcome to know how we do it. There's no secrets here with what we do, and we won't be discussing anything to do with how we play against other teams. So, intro to Centre. So, I guess I want to make this as interactive as possible, and I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. So please feel free to speak up. That's kind of the whole point. But I want you to just kind of think about briefly what it is that you think of, like what pops into your brain when you think, what does a centre do?
Like they do a lot of things. It's sort of like backup for every position, really, in
Yeah,
a way.
yeah, it's a position which requires a lot of versatility. Anything else? Because you're right, but what else?
Shooting goals, obviously,
Well, yeah,
to an extent, yeah.
it's always good to score goals. What's more important, scoring goals or preventing them?
Preventing.
Why is that? Do you remember the maths?
The what, sorry?
Hard to score goals, isn't it?
Yeah.
If we give away easy ones, we have a problem. Roughly and this holds through most, pretty much every grade of hockey, right the way from beginners to elite. Roughly 1 in 20 good quality score attacking possessions results in a goal, which is not very good. It's like 5%, or is it 5%? Yeah, 5% of scoring opportunities turns into a goal. And as we also know, hopefully, roughly 1 in 4 to 1 in 5 breakaways results in a goal. So breakaways are the big thing. If you can get a lot of breakaways happening, you radically increase your chance of scoring goals. And if you can prevent breakaways from happening against you, then you're much harder to score against. So in our play, the center's job is primarily to assist the D at preventing goals being given up. So, and there are different strategies. Different teams will do it in different ways. Our strategy is based on some pretty sound statistical evidence as to why you should play the game in the way that we do. And we revolve around prevent the opposition from scoring as much as we can. And there are a whole lot and you've all heard me talk about that in the pre-games, and what we do to emphasize that happening, but certainly the centre is a very big part of that. What else do you think of when you think about what centres do? We just saw a bunch of videos of it. Very first thing that happens in a game.
Face off.
How much fun are face-offs? If I could do, I play centre. I'm not very good at it, but I play it and I've been playing it for years. If I could do nothing but do face-offs for the rest of my life playing hockey, I'll be pretty happy. I love them. It's so much fun. It's one of the few times where you actually have the option to do set plays. And it's a real gladiatorial sort of a contest. It's you and the other center, and it's great fun. I absolutely love them. So that's a big part of our play as well. So we work as support essentially to what's going on with the team. And again, this is our structure. Different teams and different teams will do it in different ways. If you watch the NHL, for example, and you watch Edmonton, and you see someone like a Connor McDavid and the way he plays center, he's a very attacking sort of a center, not so much a defensive one. You compare that to, for example, someone like in the Florida, Barkov, who is a very defensive center, and that's why he's won the Selke on a couple of occasions. And the other one who was kind of like the best at it for a long time was Patrice Bergeron, who was also a very defensive center. Didn't score a lot of goals, scored a few, but not a heap. but those guys are playing, that they've got a good understanding of how to actually win games of hockey, as opposed to how to score lots of individual goals. And that is to be really a two-way player. So our strategy behind how you play centre is defence first. And we do that by anticipating what's going to happen, moving back before our other forwards. We say to our wingers, go score a goal, commit in deep, whatever it is. But if you as a centre see that your wingers have gone in deep, your job is to stay higher and be ready to get back and pick something up. For example, if a D pinches, you're going to be the one that notices it. If a D goes on a rush, you're going to be the one that notices it, and then you fill in the role of that D. And quite often you'll see it will happen. And what we encourage D, if no one's in front of you, keep skating, go try and score a goal, absolutely. But when you see that as a centre, your responsibility then is to come back and be that other D. So you've got to see it coming. If you see a D skate up with a puck, you've got to think, hang on a sec, what's my job here? My job here is to be that D until that D cycles back through and gets back into position. Or if you see a D pinching up the boards to go and try and get a puck, again, your job is to overlap, come back and be where the D should have been if they weren't caught out pinching. So it's difficult to read that, and it does mean that you're going to miss out on a lot of scoring opportunities as a centre. So if you like scoring a lot of goals, centre is not really the position for you. That's more the job of the winger. So we play it as looking at sport. I'm going to pull up a heat map of goals, and I think most of you have probably already seen this. So this is, I don't know how obvious that is, if this makes it a bit easier to see. Is that like big enough to be useful on your screens?
Yep.
So kind of blown up big so you can get a pretty good view of it. I've just kind of scaled it as best I can. What this is, and again, some of you have seen this before, it's NHL data from 2016, 2017, and 2017, 2018. But again, this holds across every grade of hockey. It's almost irrelevant which particular grades it's played at. And that's a diagram of where goals are scored. So you can kind of think, as our priority, we want to put the puck in those high scoring areas when we're attacking, and we want to keep the puck out of those high scoring areas when we're defending. It seems when you look at it in this context, it's that's really obvious. If the puck's, if we're attacking this end and the puck's there, that's where it's you're most likely to score a goal. If we're defending and we keep the puck out of this area, we're less likely to be scored against. And it's really that simple. Someone puts the puck over in the corner, it's over there. I mean, it can occasionally go in. There was actually Florida scored a goal today against Edmonton by bouncing the puck off the back of the goalie from behind the goal line. You want to see the highlights of that game? I haven't grabbed it yet, but that's an amazing one. But again, the odds of that happening are so low that you don't even worry about it because it's so impossibly rare. Anyway, so we want to defend that territory. So our job as a centre, first and foremost, is to make sure that we're keeping that area in front of the net in defence occupied. I guess if there's one of their players loose in that area and one of our D hasn't picked it up for whatever reason, centre's job is to pick up that loose player. So as a scenario with regards to that, let's just say that our opposition have the puck over here, and one of our Ds has gone out to put pressure on them, and then they should just be containing at that point. So they've skated out. Now they've stopped at that point because that other player's facing them. Do we know contain versus contest? You can see a player's chest, you contain them. If they've got their back to you, you can go in and contest. Have we discussed that yet this season? Maybe, maybe not. But basically, if you can see the player's front, they've got their head up with a pass, there's no point going really close to them. Not when they're not right smack bang on the net. What you do there is you take away their passing lanes. If you get too close to them, they can get around you. If they've got their back to you, they're not looking, that's where you can go and try and lift their stick and steal a puck from them, as a general rule. But the puck goes there in the corner. One of our Ds has gone in to challenge. Your job as a centre is to pick up a loose player here or here, or wherever the loose player happens to be in that slot area. Just get in front of them, lift their stick up, just like a D would. And when they cycle around, you'll probably find, not always, but probably, and certainly at beginner level, that your D may well get caught up in the play and start puck watching. And when that happens, you've got to be more alert as to where the loose players are. You cannot afford as a centre to be watching where the puck is all the time. You've really got to have your radar turned on and what's happening behind you, because that's your job to fix that up. The D will quite often get a bit of target fixation. They'll all sort of chase after the puck goes in the corner, and both of them are gone. And like, oh no, both of our D have got in chasing the puck. What am I going to do now? We've got to pick up the loose player. And what else can you do? Not only do you want to pick up that loose player, but what else? You're on your own in the slot, and there's two attacking players. What are you going to do?
You keep an eye on the wingers to see where they.
Oh no. Use your voice. Get some help. Yell out, because you should know your D's names, yeah?
Yeah.
At least you should. Yell out, hey, Blogs, get back here. Oh, sorry. If you yell someone's name and then an instruction, they might follow it. And this is kind of it's a fascinating thing about the way humans work. Like, we'll often sit on the bench and you'll get players and coaches, well-meaning but perhaps misinformed, yelling out from the bench, get in the slot. And it's the right thing for either in attack or defense to be doing, but they haven't said who. So it's just noise. And if you're out skating around, you hear get in the slot and say, who? If I say Mia, get in the slot, Mia is going to say what? Oh, that's for me. Okay, because it makes a difference. You've got to use people's names to get them to respond in an environment like in a game hockey. So you know your teammates' names, call their name, and then give the instruction. And it has to be really, really simple. If I try and do some long-winded, complex explanation, not going to happen. Like if I was to say, hey, Pat, there's a player looping around behind that, I'd like you to flick around the front, not going to happen. If I say, Pat, slot now, it might just work. Right? But if you try and give a lot of complicated instructions, it won't. And the same thing happens with our defensive zone face-off. If you notice the wingers lined up on the wrong side, say, hey, over here, drop of the puck, go. Oh. And you're just reminding them, because they should already know, but under stress, we forget stuff. So your job as a center is to kind of understand all of the plays and work out and give those instructions to try and help your players do their jobs. Goalies should do that too, but often they don't. And also they're wearing a goalie mask. So I don't know if you've ever heard a goalie yelling instructions, but it's often quite garbled. They know what they're trying to say, but no one else does. It's like, oh, you said something, right? Whereas as a center, typically you've got, you can use your voice a bit more, and you're also closer to the players, so you can give them instructions. You stand here, do this. Oh, okay, now I remember, because they'll forget, and we've seen it. We're at game 6 now, and how many times are wingers still out of position on the face-off? All the time. All the time. It's like, oh, you should know this. Well, but they're under pressure, they're learning, they're stressed. Some of them are still, rabbit in the headlight sort of stuff. Still a bit kind of dazed about what's going on during the game. So your job as a center is to remind them. And you can do that when you're skating across to a face-off too. You don't have to wait for them to line up. You can say, hey, remember, over here. Oh, yeah. So you can be a bit preemptive. If you do notice, and this is where face-offs can be good, if you notice that one of your players is out of position, you can stall the game a little bit. So say, for example, you're lining up at a face-off and your players are still a bit out of position, but they're getting there. What could you do to just stall the game a little bit and give them an extra couple of seconds?
Put a stick
Sorry?
put a stick somewhere that's we should is like in a center.
Yeah, and then the referee is going to say, no, put your stick back here.
Yeah.
And that's 5 seconds. Right? That's enough time for people to get in position, like especially if one of the other wingers is, oh, remember this, and they've got time to try, oh, okay, now we're good. So that's a good one. Other ones, if you want to waste a little bit more time, is to stand in the wrong spot, actually stand too far forwards, because that'll maybe gain you 10 seconds, because they'll say, I'll move back, and then you kind of shuffle back, and then you put your stick in the wrong spot, and then you put and bingo, there's 10, 20 seconds, which is giving your team time to get organised. So it's not really a foul. It's borderline, but you're just being a little bit smart about how you use your time. Other things you can do is you can talk to the ref. Ask the referee a question. Hey, where should I put my stick at this face-off? And they'll tell you. There's another 5 to 10 seconds. Right. So there's all sorts of little things you can do that aren't really delaying the game, but they're delaying the game, which you can kind of use to make those sorts of things happen. And that's just little bits of sort of gamesmanship that you can use. So if we're thinking about defense, we know we need to cover that sort of system. We know that if one of our D pinches, we've got to cover it. So say, for example, we're attacking this end, right? And one of our D has pinched in to try and get the puck or something or other up the boards. And they're not, but maybe they do. Your job as centre is to blast back this way, right? Overlap it. They've gone up, you go back. So there's always 1 or 2 players between the puck and our goal. If you think about it strategically, whenever the opposition has possession, and really when we've got possession as well, say the puck's here, right? We should have 2 players behind the puck all the time. The puck's in here, we might have a D up on the blue line and another D on the blue line. That's okay. We've got those players back. But if one of these Ds goes in for some reason, you as a centre, you've got to come back and be that D. So you've got to be alert to it. There's a lot to think about. But where's my D? Who's my D? We've got a couple of players in the Tigers in particular at the moment who are like, I'm trying to train them out of it, but it's not sinking in yet. Who are very keen to be involved in the rush and go in really deep in attack. And as a result, that's where our centres need to be alert to this and say, oh, my D's in. Hang on a sec, why is there 4 of us in deep? Oh, yeah, I need to go back and cover. And you also need to tell your D, hey, blue line, whatever that player's that name happens to be. So you remind them and they know to get out because they just forget. They get a rush of blood, bit of adrenaline. Go score a goal, yeah, because who doesn't love scoring goals? And your job there is to remind them that, this is your job. If you want to play wing, talk to the coaches and we'll put you in a wing. But, if you're playing D, play D. Because we need that structure, certainly at the moment. Later on, as players get better, they can start cycling through positions during a game, and you can find that wingers and D can sort of flit around a little bit. But to be perfectly honest, up to and including anything up to around sort of Div 2, even Div 1, doesn't work very well. Players will go up forwards and no one will cover for them. And then all of a sudden you've got a great opportunity for a breakaway. And where are the goals? For a goal scored, most likely.
In a breakaway.
You set it up by having all our players go forwards. Now there's no one back. Oops. They get a breakaway. And that's our game plan. We try and exploit that too. And if you look at how our game is structured, we're very much about setting up the weak side winger, blasting up the middle as part to make that breakaway happen. Which does one or two things. It either creates the breakaway or it forces their D to have to go back and cover us all the time. Both of these things are good. So if we do it well, and the Jokers actually did that really well in the Derby game. There was quite a number of really good breakaways they got against the Tigers, which was great. And I'm like, come on, you've got to see this happening. It's our game plan and it's being done to us. Why are we not seeing it? But it's easier to say from the bench with years of experience. And a lot harder when you played 6 games of hockey to start reading it like that. But then you as a centre, that's your job to try and fill that in. So that's your main job. We have another role that we fill in our breakout and in our defensive structure. And I've used the term on a number of occasions, but basically I think about centres as being our insurance policy. What's the purpose of insurance? Just in general.
Covers you and shit hit the fan, basically.
Pretty much. If things go wrong, you're there to fix it. Your house burns down, the insurance policy will fix it. There's a loose player in the slot, the centre will fix it. There's a breakaway, the centre will chase it. Okay, and a breakout goes wrong, a centre's there to fix it up and get it going. That's kind of the way that I structure our teams around the role of the centre. And again, different teams will do it differently. There's no right or wrong, except we're right and all the rest of them are wrong, and that's okay. But but the key is that for the way that we structure it in the dev squad, is the center's job is to be the insurance policy. And if you watch the teams that win the Stanley Cup, that's usually how their centers play. There may be something to that, but you'll start to see it as you watch more games of elite hockey, and you start watching what the centers do. You'll start to see a correlation between center play and outcomes of the games a lot more than you'd think there would be. So as a center, you can really influence how the game is played. Your wingers are there to often try and score as many goals as possible. Your D are there to ideally own the back check, but on the slot area. But you as a center are kind of the glue that ties the whole thing together. All right, so our breakout. Our standard breakout looks like this. Remember, puck's over here. We'll have a D floating around. Actually, I should probably go away from this heat map and give us something we can see a bit better. So I'm just going to pull up a different diagram. Doesn't have all the squiggles all over it. Just bear with me for a second. I'll grab it. You're being very quiet, Sleuts.
I can't figure out if my microphone is working. I'm on my phone right now.
I can hear you now. It's definitely working. I'm just scaling this up a bit so that we can all see it a bit better. Image resize resample is what I want. Make it bigger. Just go away. Pop it up. All right, we've got a pretty good view of that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So unencumbered by the heat map information, the standard ring. We're playing left to right. It's our standard breakout. So there's been someone's dumped the puck in, or we've had to go back and get it for whatever reason. The puck, we've got possession of it, and it's usually, if we've got possession, going to be somewhere around here, because that's just usually what happens. 1D should be here, covering the slot. Winger should should be here. The other winger, and this is the important one, and we go over this every single game, and after about game 12, they start to get it. The other winger should be doing that. Remember? We need, as centers, we need to understand this, because we're there to deal with it when it doesn't happen. Your job as a center is to be looping around here. All right? You can stand still if you're not great at kind of that sort of movement, but your job, say for example, you've had to come in and get it, or you've had to come in and help, you might be skating back like that and then skating towards the play. It doesn't break out. Keep looping around like this until something happens. Why wouldn't we just want to stand still?
It's too flat-footed.
Exactly. We're not providing that motion. When we move, the team moves with us. All right. So this D has the option of passing to you. Not necessarily a bad choice, because then you can go, or you can pass, or you can pass. 3 good choices, depending on, if there's no one in front of you, go. If there's someone in front of you, pass. It's really that simple. Someone in front, pass. No one in front, skate. It's a simple decision when you think about it like that. But if this goes wrong for some reason, and it does, we've all seen it go wrong lots and lots of times. Someone fluffs a pass or whatever, or just is standing in the wrong spot. It happens, right? This here, you're still defending that key part of the ice. We also usually want to be the last forward out of the defensive zone. So let's say, for example, it does work and we do clear it out, and the puck comes up to this player, and this player either skates it up or passes it up, and there's the other winger going up like that, and they start passing to each other and they go in and score a goal, right? Because it's a breakaway and it's quite likely. Your job is to follow it. Not to be in it, but to follow it. Why do you think that is?
In case the pack will come back.
Yeah, exactly. In case it goes wrong, because it will. We know roughly 1 in 5 breakaways results in a goal. What happened to the other 4 in 5?
Gets intercepted.
Yeah, goes wrong. It comes back. Again, it's when you think about it mathematically, it's like, oh, duh, of course. 1 in 5 works. The other 4 doesn't work. So we need to be there to fix up that one to fix up those more likely ones that go wrong, where we may be able to create another scoring opportunity. We may prevent a breakaway, which is important. But either way, we're involved in that play, but we're kind of following it. And that has a lot of value.
And in which moment the center should move from this situation if he's following the winger?
You've kind of got to play that a little bit by ear. It also depends on how fast your wingers are. Like you will have noticed that there's some players who are pretty quick and some players who are not so quick. The faster ones, you follow them quicker. The slower
And
ones,
should I stay at the center of the rink or move like to the right more or waiting like for the defense, for our defense?
it is context sensitive. And I don't want to go into that level of detail because it's kind of a decision you make as an individual, but you want to be following them in such a way that if you see that they're likely to lose possession, that you're ready to turn around and come back. And it's really context sensitive. There's one rule of thought, which is that the centre should almost always skate up and down what's called the Royal Road, which is the area down the middle. So if you want to see what that kind of looks like, just give me the option to draw a rectangle. It does. So you can, the Royal Road is kind of that, right? Up and down the middle. If your opposition lets you skate down that, they're going to give away a lot of goals. So one school of thought is that the centre should mostly stick to that. And there's an element of truth to that. I think you can be a little bit too rigid with it. And it's certainly something that as you go on and play the role, play centre, then you can kind of explore a little bit and just see what works. There's no 100% rule to that. You can vary that. But certainly on the back check, you want to be coming back down the middle. And we know that because if you want to score goals, where do you have to be?
In front of the goal.
Yeah. Obvious, yeah. So if you can get back there, some winger or some forward from the other team may do all this creative stuff and be tremendously fast and then end up buried in the corner because we've got numbers in the middle. I remember playing last season, I think, against a guy in Div 5 who is now playing iHQ Prem A. So he was a bit good for the grade. He was very fast and good puck handling skills. Maybe not the smartest guy in the world because he didn't have a lot of game experience, but we knew exactly what he was going to do. So we just skated, he'd get past you. Like if you tried to take him on, he was going to beat you. But if you saw him coming, you just skate back down the middle. And he's got no choice but to come to you. Like, oh, that was easy. Mate, you're really quick and you've got all these fancy skills, but you know what? I'm just here waiting for you. That's cool. Do your best. And he didn't score any goals against us because we just knew where he was going to go. And that's, again, centre's job. You read that. The wingers are going to be caught up in attack. The D are going to, pinch or challenge in the wrong place and so forth. But as a centre, you've got to get back and own that space in front of the net in defence and basically take care of it. Again, watch what probably the best at the moment is Barkov from Florida. Just does it so well. That's one of the reasons why Florida is so impossibly hard to play against. They do a great job of owning that space in front of their net. They just don't let anyone in there, and it's their centre who's making it happen. Carolina does the same sort of thing. We haven't got superstars doing it, but if you watch Carolina, they do it tremendously well. And if you want to watch someone stuff it up over and over and over again, watch Toronto because they just don't get it. I don't understand. It's not that complicated. But anyway, anyone here a Leafs fan? You poor, long-suffering fools. Own the space in front of the net. Hard to score against. All right, so that's our breakout. In attack, something else we want to be very mindful of, and we'll go away from theory in a moment and start actually using some videos and stuff to see what's going on. But in attack, all right, we know about our triangle attack setup. Remember it-ish. Okay, so say for example, the puck's over here. Now we would normally have a player there and a player there, just like a triangle. Regardless of who it is, it doesn't really matter. Quite often what happens is the puck does end up in the corners. We set up a triangle around it. There are different ways of doing it. You'll sometimes find teams that like to have a player back here. Personally, I think that's not the best option for us at the moment, simply because you can't score from there at all without bouncing off the back of the goalie. Very unlikely. So it's not a high risk position. There are reasons to do it, but we're not getting that sophisticated with our play. But the most likely occurrence is that this player is going to put the puck across there, and this player is then in a good position to stick it in the net, pick up rebounds, and so forth. We want this other player up high. Okay. We don't want, and this happens at the moment, again, because everyone's too busy puck chasing to kind of read it. What we quite often have at the moment, let's get rid of all these things to start with, is we'll have a player over there and we'll have 1 and 2. How effective a structure is that, do you think?
If the D shoots the shitty dribbler, they can't intercept it if they're that low.
No, they're not. You're not going to catch that bad outlet pass. So I mean, let's say we've got possession, so it's not so much a one-two project. But you're right. We can't. If they do get possession, we're not going to be able to intercept any outlet passes, which is absolutely true. But what else? Where do rebounds quite often end up? Rebounds
Hash marks.
end up somewhere around there. If you are, I don't know, this won't let me delete individual points, will it? I'm going to have to wipe this and start again. All right, so we've got this scenario, play over here with the puck, one play there. You want your other player up high slot. This is when we've got possession. So we're attacking. We've got, it's a bit different on the 1-2-2 forecheck with a counter. We're not going to worry about that for the moment. But the puck will often end up here. That player can't do anything about it. They're tied up with a D, right? At least if the other D is any good, they will be stick lifted. You're not scoring. This one here can skate in, pick up the rebound, and shoot.
Should the one in the corner come in, or?
Well, once they've moved the puck, then they should cycle up. So once this player, and again, it's not going to happen at this level. So I don't want to get. We can go in an enormous amount of detail about this, but we're kind of wasting our time because they're not going to get it. But if they did, you'd probably want that player after they pass the puck to move up to here. But maybe there's too many things for the wingers to think about, and it's not going to happen. Certainly not at this level. But who do you think should be, ideally, that player?
Center.
Why is that?
The insurance policy.
When the turnover happens, one of our wingers is probably in really deep. They're not going to be able to get back. The other one's tied up in the slot. They're going to be, I'm here, I'm battling for position, and they're not even going to know where the puck is once it's out. It's like, oh, is it gone? Watch the video. In all seriousness, you'll see it. The winger will be in there battling in position in the slot with one of their D, and the puck comes out, and they're still battling away. It's like, you're offside. Get out. But it's easy because they're in that moment. They're involved in a battle with another player, and like they're stick and pushing and stuff. It's like they lose track of everything else that's going on. It's pretty normal. So your job as a center is usually to be that high forward so that you can get back. It doesn't always work out like that, but that's the best place to be if you can make that happen. It's generally safer. Ideally, if you're involved up, because there's no reason why you can't be in the slot. If you're the second forward in, it's like something's happened in the neutral zone and you're just reacting to the game situation. It's not always like this. You can be the one in the slot and that's fine. What you'll probably find at this level is the other winger will come in there and join you just because we tell them get in the slot and like wingers. So if a winger comes into that close slot position, what should you do as a center?
Move back a little bit.
Get back up high. Move out of there. We don't want two of you sitting on each other's laps. It's not useful. And it certainly means that we're much less likely to be able to prevent a breakout. Just remember where the goals are. The goals are in those quick breakouts. That job as a center's job is to make sure that quick breakout doesn't happen. And Mia made the really good point a little bit earlier. If you are up high and they get the puck and they do a shitty dribbler, guess who's there to pick it up? All right. And that's where you're going to score goals as a center. You're going to pick up that garbage that comes across the middle and you're going to turn that into a shot. And hopefully your other forward who's tied up with the other D is screening the goalie. This goalie can't see it coming, and in it goes. Or the goalie's distracted by it, or more fun, the goalies are participating in the push and shove because they come out and whack someone with a stick or something or other. It's like, great, now you're not paying attention to the game. Go for it. I know if I'm involved in a slot battle with a D when I'm playing in an attacking situation, if the goalie starts being distracted by what we're doing, I'm happy about that because it means they're not thinking about the game anymore. You want to be that high D in that situation so that you can cover back. All right. All good with that. That's the kind of basic structural stuff. So what I want to look at now, and certainly from the point of view of like if you're involved in a penalty kill, your job is to fill the gap. Okay. If a D's gone off, if a D's in the box, you become the D. If a winger's in the box, you become the winger. If you're in the box, it's actually a little bit simpler. Because if you think about it, our basic box penalty kill, remember this, is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's our basic box penalty kill, yeah? We should know this by now as centers because it's our job to understand it. All right. These two players should probably be D. Yeah? It's their job anyway. These two players should probably be forwards. Probably wingers. It's their job, right? Be in this position, just at the top of the face-off circle. So they're not going below that line across the top of the face-off circles. They're just owning that space. That's all good. It's a bit static, but at the moment, static is good while we're still learning. So if the center's sitting in the box, these players should already be able to do that. Okay, it's not that much of a stretch because they're already kind of doing their thing. If, on the other hand, one of those players is the one that's in the box, then it's your job to fill the blank. One of the D's in, you become the D. One of the wingers is in, you become the winger. Yeah. And you got to talk about it. You will probably take the face-offs in that situation. Probably. What do we know about penalties? What do they almost always start with?
A face-off.
Yeah, defensive zone face-off. We don't play that defensive zone face-off like we play our breakout defensive zone face-off because it's a little bit high risk. We still want to get into this structure as quickly as we can. So you probably want to have your 2D already in that position, not worrying about the puck that goes behind the net. So say, for example, you as a center, let's kind of wipe this again and just have a look at it. So we've got center. We want to have our 2D there and there, and probably our winger maybe there. Doesn't really matter. And on the drop of the puck, this winger is going to move up to there. Center is going to move up to here, fill in the gap. And the D are just basically going to stay there, unless the puck is loose, in which case go and get the puck if no one goes to get it. And then what do you do in a penalty kill if you get the puck?
Nothing or
Nothing.
nearly nothing.
Just stare at it. What do you do in a power play if you in a penalty kill if you get the puck?
Ice it.
Yeah, dump the bloody thing down the other end. Get rid of it. Force them to have to go back and pick it up. Or what's the other alternative?
If we're 100% sure, go for it, but only one player.
There's one of you. If there's no one in front of you and you've got a chance to take it, go score a goal. There's nothing better than a shorty. Just don't overcommit. All right. We're not running a forecheck on our penalty kill just yet because most of the guys aren't ready for it. We're not seeing enough consistent basic box structure. We will evolve our penalty kill into a slightly more sophisticated one towards the end of the season if it starts to work a bit better. It's not working better. It's not working well enough now, but probably around game 10 it will. I'm hoping by that stage if we get a few more penalties, so we kind of get a bit of a chance to see it. There's still quite a lot of our players are really lost on the box defense. We will work on that in our training session, but it's the guys who don't show up to the training sessions that don't learn it. So how are you going to learn this if you don't show up to training? Anyway, we draw it on whiteboards in the pre-game talk, but you've actually got to do it for it to work, for it to make sense. Anyway, so that's what we do. That's what we do in a penalty kill. You get one chance, get one shot, change. All right. So that's kind of the structural stuff. As a center, you back check hard down the middle. You become the third D, and we should be pretty much right with that particular aspect of your play, and we'll continue to work on it. Another one that's important, leadership. You're trying to giving the instructions and so forth on the ice. You do set the tone. In particular, with that stuff about delaying face-offs, so your players get in the right position, reminding people of where they need to be. That's really a center's job, because wingers will forget. They will get sidetracked. And as I said, you've got, wait, just go over here. Okay, sorry, I forgot. You don't have to be polite about it. Just give a simple instruction. You can be polite in the change rooms afterwards, but during the game, it's like, do this now. Oh, alrighty. Face-offs, the fun part. I mean, not that it isn't all fun, but face-offs are absolutely, I think, probably the most fun part of being a center. So what do you know about them? You've all, like mostly here, played center a bit, or at least certainly watched it, and the fact that you're kind of looking at this.
Kind of sets the tone for the play, like in terms of the puck direction, I guess. I don't know.
I'm not quite sure what you said. You want to try that one again?
Oh, you didn't hear what I said, or you didn't understand what I said?
I didn't hear it clearly.
I said set the tone for the play.
Yep. What do you mean by that?
Not really sure.
You're the one who takes the face off, right? You're lined up against the other team.
Well, you can kind of give the heads up to the winger, like, I'm going to go this way, so you better go.
You have a plan.
Yeah.
The key part to a face-off is have a plan. It's not always going to work. Maybe 30, 40% of the time it'll work. Most good centers win 50%, maybe 55% reasonably well of their face-offs, give or take. So the odds aren't great. It's usually not going to go exactly where you want, but you want to have a vague plan. And we know that we've got a number of different plans for our defensive zone face-off. We want to either put the puck behind us or into that area where our wingers can pick it up and go. And that's probably the only thing we've really thought about at the moment. I know, Mia, you've got one trick at the moment, and we need to give you a few more tricks in your repertoire. Look, it works. It works at the moment. And your trick at the moment is something I think we discussed in probably game 1 or game 2, which is just chip the puck past the other center and then pick it up and go. Yeah, it works. And you can score goals doing that. I don't know if you have yet or not, but
no, close.
It can work. So that's not a bad option. It's not the right option for every particular place on the ice. It's a good option at some places. It's not such a good option in others. And we want to start thinking as centers, okay, this particular face-off, what things do I want? What can I make happen, which is going to put my team in a position where, one, we're harder to score against, because you don't want to give the puck away, and you don't want to put a puck in a high-risk area. 2, can we create an attacking opportunity from this? And to do that, you need to communicate with your team and tell them what it is that you're trying to do. It's generally something as simple as looking towards the player that you're going to try and put the puck to and just tell them it's coming to you. It's usually all you have time for. So as a defensive zone face-off, I'm probably going to try and put the puck to the D behind me. So I'm going to look around, look at them and say, I'm giving it to you. And they say, yeah.
I haven't tried that yet, but maybe next game. Yeah.
So if you think about it, again, from the point of view of a face-off, we're going to go back to a heat map. You're going to get a bit sick of this diagram, but I can't tell you how important it is to understand where the goals are scored from. I'll put this one right. Sorry, let's go back to the heat map again. This one. Sorry, while I back around. Okay, so if we think about it as centers, we want to put the puck into the high-risk area for our opposition, and we want to keep the puck out of the high-risk area for us. And that applies to face-offs as well as any other aspect of the game. So let's look at the defensive zone face-off first. All right, so we know this one. We know our basic defensive zone face-off setup. We have a player here, usually the center, yeah. The left winger should be there, the right winger should be there, and the D should be here, and the other D We put the other D back there. Now, there are variations on that theme, but that's where we put them at the moment. Where should you put the puck from the face-off?
To the left, to the up, outside of the center zone.
Yep, you've got two choices there, really, haven't you? You could either put it somewhere around here, or you could put it somewhere back there. These are good choices. You do not want to put it over here, do you?
No.
Why not?
Just a scoring opportunity for them.
That's where goals are scored. We want to keep the puck out of that area. If the puck's not in there, we're much less likely to get scored against. If we put it back here to our D, that D has options. They can put it up the boards. They can rim it around the back. They can do a shitty dribbler, in which case they're in trouble. But what they can do is ideally, they chip it off the boards to this winger who's going, wee! And this other winger who's going, wee! And a scoring opportunity, right? Because now we've got a breakaway. And we know breakaways, 2 or none, so like the best scoring opportunity there is. So that's what we want to try and do with it from that face-off. So you can think about it a little bit from the point of view, and we don't do this in the dev squad at the moment, but as you move up through the grades, it's something to start thinking about, and that is your handedness. Okay, because you're either a righty or a lefty,
Mm.
and you're more likely to be able to pull the puck back on your backhand. So if I'm a lefty, for example, so I look at this particular face-off over on the right-hand side. For me, and if you're a righty, it's the other way around. For me, it's easy on the backhand to put the puck back here. I'm just dragging it back that way. It's pretty easy. I drive forwards. It's on my backhand. I flick it back on my backhand. It's going to go in that basic direction over my left shoulder, or under my left shoulder, but in that basic direction. If, on the other hand, I'm a righty, my instinctive play is to put the puck over there, because that's my right hand, and I'm going to try and sweep the puck back, and it's going to go behind my right shoulder if I don't get it cleanly, and it's going to go into that area, which is a high scoring risk. So if I'm the righty in that situation, playing it back behind me is probably not such a good option. It might be better for me to push the puck forwards instead, and then go and get it. Or if you put the puck forwards and your wingers are doing the right thing, this winger should then be able to pick that puck up, and they're off to the races. Okay, so it's just kind of thinking about it in terms of what's going to work for you and your handedness. If it's my backhand, I can sweep it back to my D a bit more easily. If I'm on the wrong side, maybe my better option is to push it forwards and feed my winger, who should, because you've reminded them, drop of the puck, go, yeah? Right, he should be blasting through to pick up that puck and go and try and score a goal. So that's that option. Let's have a look at some examples of that in play, because I'm not just making this up. There's actually a lot of examples of it happening. I'm going to grab a couple of videos and show you how that works out. Is this one? No, that's a defensive zone one that went wrong. Just trying to find the right one here. There we go. This is an interesting example. This is from an A grade grand final a couple of years ago at iceHQ. And it's kind of funny in a way, and you'll see why in a moment. What happened to my Zoom session? Is it still there? See, that keeps guys off. That's good. So let's just watch this play and see what happens. So what have we got to start with?
Defensive zone face-off.
Yep. So say for example, we're looking at the guys in purple, which is the Kings in this case. They're also up 8-3 with 40 seconds to go in the third period. So there's a lot of sort of contextual information there. But they've set up a defensive zone face-off. It looks a lot like ours, doesn't it? They're copying us, of course. It's not the other way around. Right? Let's watch what happens. What have we got?
That was a trick.
I wouldn't say that was a trick. But they've just tipped the puck through, yeah?
Yeah.
Opposition have pinched in because that's what D does in that situation. And now what have we got? What's the scenario?
for Kings, yeah, going for a goal.
Do the maths. What have we got? 4-on-1. 4-on-1.
It's the other day. Was he back there?
Yeah, out of
Oh,
it.
okay.
They all got sucked in by it. So it's 4-on-1. You can understand why the score was 8-3. Poor little Camas. They're a bunch of juniors, and they're fast, but they're not very bright. They're like much smarter. Now you'd think of this situation, and this is the funny part about it, and it's got nothing to do with the face-off, but I just kind of like to look at it because it always makes me laugh. I was commentating this, and you can't hear the sound on this particular one, but I'll post the link on the Facebook group. You can have a look at it later and actually listen to the commentary because I had a bit of a laugh about it at the time. I certainly got a laugh, but watch what happens. Did they get a shot on the net?
It jump a little.
Yeah, I couldn't see it.
Didn't get a shot on the net. 4-on-1, and they didn't shoot. Oh. They had a coach. The coach would have been doing somersaults on the bench. What are you guys doing? Just get a shot on the net. They didn't. The D, to his credit, actually did a really good job. So if you watch the Camas' D, right? So here they've all massively overcommitted, and it's like, now the other team's away. So there's the other four of the guys from Camas, the guys in the red. But watch what their 1D does. Right? Where did he slow down?
The hash marks.
Where does he make the challenge? At the hash marks. And our Kings player had 3 passing options.
The net is wide open.
Exactly. Didn't use any of them. And of course, the other guys, the red guys, they're young and dumb, but they're fast. They have seen this, and they're all racing back.
Yeah, the guy in front of the goal was just ready.
Yep. And they back out the other way. What's going on in this game? But you can see the face-off and see what happened from that. The centre just tucked it in front. The winger was there in the right position. Didn't quite work out exactly cleanly, but it still worked out the right way. And off they went, and you created that magnificent scoring opportunity, which they then totally bungled. But they created it in the first place. And it's about creating those options. Unfortunately, you can't see where the Camas D set themselves up, but they pinched in a long way, which again made that more likely to happen. So it's just an example of how you can make that happen. That's in an A grade game at iceHQ 2 or 3 seasons ago now, I think, give or take. It's another really good one, and this one, unfortunately, this should have been a goal, and it would have put the Florida out of contention in 22-23, but it didn't quite work out like that. But watch this one. So this is NHL. What's the situation?
D-zone face-off.
Yep. What do you notice about it? What do you pick up straight away just from looking at that?
The players
The
are
D's are
inside the
pinching.
circle.
Yeah, aren't they? Look at where the D are. You silly bastards. Boston's setup isn't exactly the same as us, but it's kind of similar in some ways for their defensive zone face-off. This is the game situation. There's about 10 seconds to go, and they're all tied up at 3 goals apiece, and it's game 5. And Boston need one more win to eliminate Florida from the playoffs and go through the next round. So it's kind of important. Florida D have pinched right in.
Nice.
Oh no, he missed. But you can see it work, right? It's just a winger moving up quickly, puts the puck into space and is away. And because the opposition had pinched in, it created that opportunity. And all Bergeron did. Now, Bergeron was, if you look at the stats right at the very start, Bergeron's winning 55% of the face-offs. There's a pretty good chance he's going to win this. Look, he actually wins it. Look at where he puts the puck. He actually chipped it forward because he knew Marchand was coming through. Now, the Florida D are thinking, that's mine, I'm going to go get it, which is absolutely, totally, and utterly the wrong decision, but they're under pressure. Not happening, sunshine. And away goes Marchand on a breakaway. And anyway, 3-3 with 3 seconds to go. And now we're at home. Boston, if Marchand had scored that goal, that ice rink would have, the roof would have been ripped off it with the noise. and we lost it over time. Anyway, but that's the opportunity, and that's what you can create from that. So if you see the opposition D pinching in like that, again, you know, if I put the puck behind here, that's when my wingers are going to go, and I've got a really good opportunity. So make sure I look at my wingers and say, that's where I'm putting the puck. All right. So it works. It's a legitimate play. I'm not just making it up. What we're going to have a look at now is obviously there are plays in other parts of the rink. So I'm going to look at attacking zone face-offs because, of course, every time there's a defensive zone face-off, there's also an attacking zone face-off. It's pretty obvious. And sometimes we're the defending one and sometimes we're the attacking one. So we need to understand what we want to do from the point of view of the attacking zone face-off. So think about this. Where do you want to put the puck?
In the spot.
Goal.
You can shoot it on the net if it's on your forehand. So me as a lefty, if it's a left-hand side offensive zone face-off, so if it's an icing, for example, you get to choose. The referee will stand there pointing one direction or the other. Put it on your forehand. All right. So if you're a righty, you want a right-hand side face-off. If you're a lefty, you want a left-hand side face-off. So I want that one because then it's on your forehand to shoot the puck on the net. And you can turn the face-off into a shot.
Noted.
Observe. I'm going to show you this video. You missed this because I showed it at the start of this one. But watch this. It's kind of obvious what's coming, yeah. So number 31, that's on his forehand, yeah. He's a lefty. See where it's a little. I'll try and slow it down so you can see where he's actually. Whoops, wrong video. Try and slow it down so we can actually see what happens here. All right. So just looking at the setup, Detroit in the white, they've set themselves up in a defensive zone pattern that's not dissimilar to the one we use. They've got the D in a different spot. They've got the D here instead of here. But that's just it's a technique variation. There's just different ways of playing that particular strategy. But they've got players back here, 2 wingers and a D ready to move up forwards and do whatever it is they're planning on doing. But if you watch this center, see how he's got that on his forehand? And look at where his grip is. The other center has a low hand, ready to try and put the puck probably over here, because that's the safe place. All right. And this guy, what's he thinking? It's on my forehand. What am I going to do here?
Only a goalie
Well,
to pass.
what's he thinking? I know what I'm thinking if I'm that center. I want to score a goal here.
Oh, missed that. Wow, he must be pretty quick. I didn't even see that.
Just bang.
It was just a face-off and then hooray.
You turn the face off into a shot.
Can you repeat that, please?
You like. I love it. I've scored goals from there myself, so I can guarantee that it works. Bang, straight through.
It was again the same.
Might need to post it on the Facebook page
Yeah.
if you don't mind.
I'll do this again. I think they show it to you in slow motion. Just bang, straight through.
Wow. Yeah, that was fast.
Taking a shot. Boom.
Oh wow.
Woohoo!
Goalie doesn't see it coming to
Nice.
goes in. Like you can't aim them. It's just like throw in the direction of the net and hope. I
Oh,
like real goal.
jumped.
All right, but that's a classic, perfect example of how. And again, lots of teams do it. So there's like a gazillion examples of goals from face-offs. So you can kind of see there that this is a perfectly legitimate tactic as a center. If you can turn that face-off into a shot, then do it. Put it on your forehand if you have a choice.
Hmm.
So if it's an icing or whatever the scenario is, or a penalty, put it onto your forehand from the face-off. So if you're a righty, right-hand dot, face off. If you're a lefty, left-hand dot face off. These are your two best choices, and put it on the net. There are some other alternatives for things you can do from that face off. There are some good choices, and then there are some really, really bad choices. I'm going to show you one, and you can tell me if this is a good choice or a bad choice, and then we'll see what actually happens. So this is me. I'm playing for Rangers against the Chiefs. We're down 3-1. We haven't had many shots on the net. We've just, I think they've iced it or something or other. I'm not 100% sure what's going on here. Is that floating for you guys? Something weird. All right, everyone's sort of farting around. So that's me wearing number 80. I'm just looking at my D, who's over here. And what do you think I'm saying to him?
Be ready.
Yeah, so I looked at him, given him a really good look. It's coming to you, buddy. That's Chris White. It's Chris White. He's got a pretty good shot on him. I know him. I can trust him. He's a good D. So I'm thinking, I know this situation, it's on the wrong side for me. But I'm thinking, if I do this from the face off and win it on my backhand to Whitey, he's in a great spot to get a shot, isn't he? Is that a good idea? On first glance, it looks like a good idea, doesn't it? Let's see what happens. What do you think of that?
And get
Nice.
intercepted.
Nice face-off win, isn't it? It's perfect. It's straight to him. It's absolutely textbook. Watch what happens.
I think you showed this one before.
Yeah.
It was already spoiled. Sorry.
Bugger.
A good example. Yeah.
Right? But that's why that particular win is very, very risky. And the reason it's risky is because we were talking a little bit earlier about how you should always have one or two players between the puck and the net. In this situation, Whitey's pinched in. My other D, you might be able to see here, has also pinched in. All right, so both our D have pinched. We know about that. We know that that's dangerous. Our wingers are all like, one here is going to crash the net. The other winger, not quite sure what he's doing, but he's doing something. And my idea is to do this. So when he passes to Whitey, who's going back to cover?
Yeah.
And they get behind us. And it's much more common than you think. Either like that was a perfect face-off win. It was absolutely spot on. It was straight to him. You couldn't have asked for better. Right to where he wanted it. He gets the one-timer away, but there's a winger skating straight up to him because that's what they should do. Gets their pads in the way of it. Boom, there's no one back. The golf and score a goal.
In these situations, the winger should shoot from this position or rather try to come closer.
Which one are you referring to?
The situation, yeah. You
That's a
pass the
D.
puck, right? Oh, sorry, it's a D, yeah. You pass the puck, and it's better for him to shoot from here or just move a little bit closer.
In that situation, you probably didn't have time to move closer. It's more
Okay.
fucking. And again, at the level of hockey you're playing at the moment, and probably the level of hockey you'll play for most of your time, most D don't have the skill to do any more than just fling it in on the net. And if you're lucky, that's what they'll do. Because that's what we teach them. If the puck comes out to you as a D, shoot it on the net low and hard. It's that simple. And when they start lofting it, it usually doesn't work out very well. But you shoot low and hard from there as soon as you get the puck. Don't muck around with it. They don't have the skill to do cross ice passes. If they do, they get intercepted and you give away breakaway goals. It's a bad choice. So generally putting the puck back there is a bad option. What I should have done is put the puck in there. Would have been a better choice, wouldn't it?
Mm.
Or put the puck back here. Also a better choice. Maybe not as effective a scoring opportunity, but it's a better choice than putting it back across what is essentially a shitty dribbler. Bad choice. Bad call. Naughty, naughty, naughty. I don't do that anymore. I learned from that. A lot of the it's like, oh, that didn't work. Well, let's have a look at the bit. Oh, okay. I'm not doing that again. That was silly. Let's use a different plan. So the D will quite often get cranky when they say, oh, why won't you pass it back to me here? It's like, well, mate, I'm just not going to, all right. It's not worth trying to explain because we need to look at videos and look at, some probabilities and so forth, but we're just not going to do it.
What happened at the end of this play?
Oh, they scored a goal.
Oh. Okay.
See?
What in this situation, because the plan was quite good, right? You
Yeah.
had a position to pass the pack
I'm
for
gonna,
a goal.
I'm gonna,
What about the other teammates?
yeah.
If they, let's say, saw what you're trying to do, hopefully, shouldn't they be ready to come back to like be an insurance?
Yes, but it's not going to happen in that particular face-off because there isn't time.
Okay.
Right. So if you think about it, in that particular play, if you're playing back up to that D to get a shot away, the assumption is that D is going to put a shot on the net, and the wingers are going to crash the net and pick up the rebound. That's the assumption for the play. Sometimes it works, but more often than not it doesn't. So you're better off not even trying that play at all. One thing you have to be really mindful of is that you can't overcomplicate these plays. It's very easy to come up with these great big sophisticated if this, and you try and give someone a great big decision matrix. It's just not going to work. It just won't. Even at the absolute top level of hockey, they'll usually have 2 or 3 scenarios that they can deal with in real time, and even that doesn't always work out. So you've got to keep it simple. So the idea there is, look, what I should have done is just put the thing on the net and see what happens. Okay, because then there's at least the puck's in a high scoring area rather than giving away that great big opportunity. I think I've got a good example of how that can work here. And, this is the one. Yeah, here we go. Same game. Same team, same game. Score's a little bit happier for us. We're now up 6-5. I'm not quite sure how that happened, but anyway. And it's we're on the power play, so they've only got 4 on the ice. That's me again taking the face off. That's again Chris White up here. I'm not giving it to you this time, Whitey. Right, just not going to do it. This is the same game. Let's see what happens. It's on my backhand, not my forehand, unfortunately. But anyway, we probably should have picked the other side. Oh, we're 4-4. My day have pinched in. I don't like that, but anyway.
Oh.
And I just scored the easiest goal in the history of hockey. All right. All I did was poke it at the net, get a rebound. Our winger charges in. Looked at the winger. It's going in there. It's going to you. He's like, eh. Bang. So I've just put it into a high risk area. No, there's not much on it. I didn't get a clean shot. It's on my backhand, so it's not going to be particularly good. But we get a little bit of a rebound. It bobbles out. There it is. Poke. Just tap it in. Tap, tap, taparoo. And then it goes. It's just put the puck in that high risk area and see what happens. You're playing the odds. Sometimes it works. Right. There's your goal, centers. Put it in high risk and see what happens.
Side question to the last video.
Yep.
How it happened that both of the players from different teams are on a penalty with the same time?
Because they got a simultaneous penalty. Probably my guess would be, and I'd have to go back and look at the video, probably someone tripped someone over, or maybe it's a roughing and they had a bit of a push and shove. I'd have to go. That was a couple of years ago. But my guess would be it was probably someone tripped someone over and then the other person turned around and slashed them or something like that. And they get
Right.
some of this. But again, that's a guess. I can't remember. It does happen. Sometimes you get 4-4. So yeah, but in that situation, it wouldn't make any difference. The same, you do the same play. But I should have put it on my forehand instead of my backhand. I didn't have the presence of mind to do that. But yeah, you put the puck in the high risk area, you might score a goal. You put it in a high risk area for them, and they might score a breakaway goal and score against you. Play the odds.
Yeah, that's the question, because you told us when we are player down, you're doing the penalty box. What if both teams are -1 player? Are they standing and looking at each other?
Well, you could use that strategy, but it'd be a bit boring. We haven't discussed that, and because it's pretty rare. We also haven't spoken about 5-on-3s, also pretty rare. But a 5-on-3 is like a 4-on-3, except you use a triangle instead of a box. So
Yeah, we had that on the first game.
Did we? Oh, Yeah. For 4-on-4, you just kind of play it as a slightly more conservative version of normal play.
Okay.
The key with shorter handed, like if you're 4-on-4 as opposed to 5-on-5, is you've got to keep possession. And if and when we get to finals, if they go to overtime, the overtime is 3-on-3. And we'll discuss that when we get to it. We'll go through some preparation. We'll have Zoom sessions where we'll talk about it, talk about what to do. I'll actually show you the video. One season we had, I think it was back when one of the teams I was coaching at the time, we played we played a semi-final that went to overtime and then went to a shootout. Then we had the grand final that went to overtime and went to a shootout. So twice.
Wow.
So our guys had 10 minutes of 3-on-3 overtime and like no one scored, which is unusual because there's so much space when you're 3-on-3. But the key is possession. You've got to keep possession of the park. Because every time the other team has possession, they've got an entire rink. And there's only 3 of you to defend. And one of you is probably overcommitted in attack, maybe even 2 of you. You know what's going to happen. But yeah, we'll worry about that when we get close to finals because it's pretty rare. 4-on-4 happens a couple of times, not very often. So you haven't really thought about it very much. You just play it like normal. It's just that you've got one less player. But be more inclined to keep possession. Don't just kind of dump it and hope. You want a bit more control over it. And that's kind of the smartest thing to do about it. So they're kind of defensive zone and attacking zone face-offs. So looked at them and we're already running about 15 minutes over time. I want to show you just a couple more. And this is some middle ice stuff because most face-offs are not defensive zone or attacking zone. Well, actually, no, they probably are more defensive zone, but you'll get face-offs in other areas. You'll get face-offs for offsides. You'll get face-offs for start of the game. So we want to think.
What about the face-offs that are from the middle part of the rink?
That's what we're just talking about right now.
All right.
So I'll pull up a diagram first so we can kind of have a look at them. There we go. That's my diagram again. Here diagram. Go. Here. Visible. All right, I'm just scratching around with this for a second, but we'll be there in a tick. All right, so we've got a rink. Let's say, for example, it's a center ice face-off because that's how the game starts and that's how it restarts after goals. So we do get these reasonably regularly, and we should have a rough idea. First of all, you want to make sure your players are actually in the right spot. Like remind them, hey, you up here. You don't want your wingers sitting back. And there's a good reason for that, and I'll show you an example of how that can go wrong.
Should the winger be on the other winger? Like up close or
Not
depends?
necessarily. It depends what your plan is.
To win.
Ultimately, your plan is to improve, yes, and that increases the chances of a win. But your like the specific strategic plan here. So you'll probably have, let's do us as crosses, yeah? Center, winger, D and D. And the opposition will probably have something similar. Center, winger, D and D. It's a pretty standard setup, yeah? It's usually what it looks like. We're the red crosses, because why not? A couple of options. Mia's already got one here. What do you do, Mia?
I find with taller players, I can kind of just go under the legs and go around them because they're a bit slower.
You're just going to poke it through and use your speed.
Yeah.
Which is a good strategy. And from a center ice face-off, that's actually a pretty good play. Because quite often then what will happen, what Mia's describing, and I don't have a video of it at the moment, but we should have organised that, is Mia's going to chip the puck. Oops, I wanted a line, not a square. What's going on here with my annotator? Come back, annotator, where are you? Oh, that. So Mia's going to chip the puck through like that, pick it up, and go try and score. It's not a bad strategy. I've had it done to me on a couple of occasions. There was a game not that long ago when I was playing, and I'm proud of my face-offs. I reckon I'm pretty good at them. but I got absolutely humiliated twice in a row by this guy that just poked it through my legs and jumped around me and went, because I'm not the fastest guy in the world. And this guy was pretty quick, and he just poked it through my legs and done a Mia and just picked the puck up and went. Now, luckily, our goalie saved the breakaway and we didn't give the goal away, but I was a bit lucky there. Yeah, so that's one strategy. Another one, and this is where you need your D to have a bit more skill because it's relying on your teammates, is to do this. You can play the puck back to your D. Okay. This is a very common thing. On your backhand, play it back to the D who's on your backhand, which for most of you will be on your right shoulder because most of you are probably righties. When that happens, what you want that D to do is immediately bounce the puck off the boards over there. As soon as they get control. Your job as the center is to go straight up there. The winger's job is to try and just get in the way of that other winger and create that space. So in that situation, you want your winger and their winger to be right up against each other. And you want your winger to be distracting their winger.
When do you decide to send it back to D?
Before have a plan?
No, like, for what reason would you do that? Like strategically, like.
Oh, as I'm trying to create space.
Oh, okay.
What I'm trying to do is if I do that, I'm hoping that this D will try and go over there and get it.
Okay.
But they're going to fail, and we're going to get past that D and go score a goal. Right? That's one plan. Now you're relying on your D actually being able to get the puck and have enough skill to do that. At the moment, most of them aren't, but you should still try it. And the reason we should still try it is because we need our D to learn it. We're not about winning games all the time. We're about allowing our teammates and allowing ourselves to improve in terms of our skill and reading of the game. And if we don't put our players in positions where there's responsibility on them to do things, they don't get better. Okay? So try it. It's not going to work much, but it will improve the more you do it. Every now and then it will start to actually work. And it's like, oh, see, it does work occasionally. So you've got to trust your teammates, let them develop and let them make mistakes. We're not about winning games. We're about improving. Okay. That's an absolutely fundamental thing about our program. I don't care if you win or lose. I want to see you improve. And you only do that by allowing yourselves and your teammates to make skill errors by being put in position where their skill is tested. And that's okay. You know, that's perfectly fine. If it goes back to the D and they fluff it, you know what? They're learning. That's okay. You bloody beginners. It's Div 9. We don't expect you to get it right. We expect you to work on getting it right, which is a very different thing. Okay. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see how it works. Honey Badgers, the second worst jersey in the world. We've just scored a goal. Yes. Back to the D. D tried to chip it up the boards. We almost got away. Probably happened a little bit quickly. Unfortunately, the camera's not exactly doing the right thing, but you'll see if you watch it on this top screen. Can you see my mouse moving there?
Yes.
So watch that screen there. Face off one back to the D. Look at where I'm going. Puck comes up and we try to get through. Now, their D in that instant didn't quite fall for it, but we did create motion up the side and created an opportunity. And the D did the right thing. The D immediately chipped it up the boards. So that's an example of that. All right. Trying to get down the side. What my winger didn't really execute very well. What the winger should have done in this instance, let's see where he's standing. See, he's too far away. That winger should have tried to tie up the guy there in the red helmet. Just distract him. You know, lift his stick up off the ground. Be a bit annoying. Put your foot across in front of his foot. So he's all of a sudden thinking about you and not thinking about what's happening. Buys you half a second, and half a second is all you need. Instead, you let him have room. And there it goes. And he says, oh, this is coming. I better go do something about that. But even so, he still didn't move over there terribly quickly. So we still got that opportunity. We didn't work on it very well because the other D came across, but the opportunity was there. And if you do that and execute it in Div 9, it's going to work. sometimes. So it's worth doing. So that's one plan. The other one, and I don't have a video example of it here, but it's just worth thinking about, and we'll finish the night on this, is to think, I don't know, have any of you watched any of the iceHQ stuff, the Sean Walker's videos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things he says is put the puck where they are not. You heard that before? When he's talking about puck battles and so forth, he will say, put the puck where they are not. Okay. Now, where that's useful is you look up the ice when you're the center and you look at where the opposition D are. And you think, can I turn this? Can I put the puck somewhere where it's creating a scoring opportunity for my team? And this is usually where you'll find this happens more than anything else is after an offside. When you've got that face-off with the face-off dots just outside the blue line, I'll pull back the map so you can see. Go back to a share. This will be the last one, I promise. And that's already been quite a while. All right, so say, for example, we have a face-off. It will be the crosses again. We have a face-off here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a pretty normal setup for that, yeah? They would have, again, pretty similar. They're probably going to do something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What do you see?
The gap on the right-hand side.
Yeah, look at all that real estate. If you can put the puck in front of your winger, in this instance, what I would probably suggest to my winger is, hey, why don't you move yourself across? And instead of lining up with the other winger, so instead of being there, maybe sit yourself over here.
For the wider angle.
If the other winger doesn't go with them, and quite often they won't know what to do, especially in Div 9. I have no idea. It's like, what's this play doing over there? Right. And then you as a center, you are going to put the puck over here.
Where's the center go after that? Like through the middle?
Follow it in.
Yeah.
You're the insurance policy. Remember, you follow it in. Okay. And you've told this winger, I'm putting it in front of you. I'm leading it. Drop of the puck, move like you do on a defensive zone face-off. Move forwards. Okay. So this winger should drop of the puck, move straight forwards. In which case, hopefully, they can pick up that pass or that puck in there. They'll be the first ones to it anyway, thus creating possibly a breakaway situation because the other D may pinch up. You may find that this D says, oh, that's mine. I'm going to, oops, thought I'd get it, but I didn't. And now all of a sudden, this player has no one in front of them.
Hopefully.
It works.
Yeah.
Trust me on this one. It works. I know I haven't scored goals from it, but my team has scored goals from exactly that play. Put it into space. That winger picks it up on the move, straight in the net, gets a good shot. And the goal is like, what just happened? Okay. It's worth trying. Put the puck where they are not and tell your players you're going to lead them with it. So look at your winger and say, it's going in front of you. And don't worry about the other team reading that. They won't. They won't. I promise. You can walk up to your winger and say, I'm going to put it in front of you. And the other team will be oblivious to what you're doing. I absolutely guarantee it. They just won't get it.
I was wondering about that. I'm like, am I giving away? No, they're not listening. They don't care.
Half of them don't know where to stand anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Read your play? No way. Not a snowball's chance in hell. Especially if you start moving. Like if that winger moves across there, this winger's going to be like, what do I do now? And there's another second's hesitation because they don't know. Puck gets dropped, your winger moves because you've said, I'm putting it in front of you. You just have to go forwards. And they're like, oh, okay, I can do that. And space. It's not complicated for us. It's a really simple thing. You're not trying to do this and that. All I'm going to do is I'm going to put the puck in front of you. You go get it. And then, shoot on the net. Put it in the net, or at least on the net.
Mm.
Where do you not want to put it as that center?
Like chip it. You don't want to chip it.
Oh, chipping's okay. It's probably not your best option, but it's not a bad one. Where do you not want to put it?
Behind.
I don't want to put it back here. Over here's okay. Over here's not okay. Why is that not okay?
The other winger or center can just intercept and make a breakaway.
We've given away a possibility of a breakaway. Bad choice. So we're always thinking, where are the good choices that are going to give me the best chance to succeed? And what are the worst choices that I can make, which if it goes wrong, I don't give away breakaways? Because I don't want to give away breakaways. And a face-off is a great chance for a breakaway. We know that. Our defensive zone face-off is all about creating breakaways. So we should, at some level in our brains, we'll kind of get that, hey, breakaways come from D-zone face-offs. Well, breakaways can come from almost any face-off. About the only exception is an attacking zone face-off because because they're already back there. It's actually really hard to score from an attacking face-off. It's quite rare. I'll show you that video at the start, which is great to watch. It's like, oh, this is fantastic, but it's pretty rare. And the reason it's rare is because they're already back there. You haven't got a breakaway. There's already structure. It might not be perfect structure, but they're there. Right? There's bodies in the way. It's harder to score. So it's less likely to work. It doesn't mean it doesn't work. It just, when it does work, you're like, yay, highlights. I got one out of like 50. But, 1 in 50 is not bad, really, from the point of view of a centre taking face-off. It probably happens. I haven't scored a face-off goal now for probably 2 years, but I've got a couple. Game winner.
Time to break this curse.
It's just odds. It's just an odds game. We had a game against the Reapers in a semi-final, and I should go and get the video of it because it's actually quite good. Where we had with stop time. I think we were tied up, or were we up by one or down by one? I can't remember. Whatever it was, the score was really close. It was 1 goal or less, and we were in a stop time. And we had an offensive zone face-off, and I turned it into a shot on the net. We got a big rebound, but my winger didn't move. So I just kind of watched it go sailing past, and then they iced the puck. Bring it back for another face-off. Another go, and did the same thing, and my winger again didn't move. He just stood still. I was like, oh, look, there's this big juicy rebound. The goalie's already committed. All you needed to do was just tap it in. But he just stood still. And then we had another one because the goalie froze it or something or other. So we had like 3 of these face-offs in the space of the last 30 seconds of the game. And every single time I did exactly the same thing. I won it clean, shot on the net. Goalie gave up this big juicy rebound, and my winger just stood there and stared at it. It happens. You can't get frustrated. It's just the nature of the game, and everyone's learning, and none of us are good enough to be in the NHL, so we need to be mindful of the fact that we're all just doing the best we can.
Not good enough yet.
No one will ever be good enough. And
There's still hope.
We are getting there.
We are improving, and that's. So we're just going to look at a final scenario here, and to be honest, this is what I should have done.
Wow.
What do you say?
Looks like football.
Try and tell me what you think the game situation is.
It'll be the end of a game, like very close.
Yep. A couple of seconds to go. How many players on the ice are there for? Is that LA? I think that's LA.
6. So the goalie's been pulled.
The goalie. Yep. And they've got 6 across. They might be down by a goal. And there's like a second or 2 to go, which means the other team, who I think, I'm not really sure who it is, can they score?
Very unlikely.
Very, very unlikely. All right. So all they're trying to do here is like there's like half a second to go or something or other. So all they've done, what's the center going to do?
Can take a shot.
Yeah, that center has to have a shot on there. There's no other option. He hasn't got anyone back to pass it to. His idea there is, I'm just going to put the puck on the net, and we're going to have everyone go forwards and just see if we can make something happen. There's a rebound, and we can poke it in.
No pressure.
It didn't work, but it's such a great example. Like it's clever. Right? There's no risk because the other team. There's no possible way the other team could score. The puck doesn't have time to get down there. There's only like half a second left, and even if they did get it, it wouldn't be clean because there's so many bodies in the way that there's no way in the world the other guys are going to be able to turn, pivot, and shoot. They just don't have time. So this is actually really, really clever. It's just it didn't work, but that's worth a try.
Which one is the goalie?
Sorry, none of them. They pulled the goalie. We haven't pulled the goalie with you yet, have we? Have we pulled the goalie at all yet this season? I don't think we have. We need to start doing it. When you pull a goalie, a player comes on for the goalie.
Yeah, Lachi is sometimes getting asleep.
We will start doing that in the second half of the season, now that you guys are a little bit more comfortable with being on the ice. The key to pulling the goalie is to realise that it's an all or nothing thing. We don't want, if you pull the goalie, you don't want a player standing back in the net pretending to be the goalie. Guess if we'd done that, we wouldn't have pulled the goalie. Right? We're down by a goal. We've got a minute and a half to go. We're just going to flood the other end and see if we can make something happen. And if the other team scores an empty netter, oh well, we're going to lose anyway.
But we have really good goalies in this season, both Joker and Tigers.
Yep. In fact, every team has excellent goalies.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to score this season. I think there's only been like 10 goals scored throughout the entire season by all the teams. It's pretty tough. So yeah, good goalies. Anyway, that'll do. It's been about an hour and a half. I will post the video and some other videos as well onto the Facebook group so you can have a look. This one isn't a dev squad only. This one, the actual link, I'll publish that on the Facebook page. So anyone who does that, I know there's a bunch of the Griffins and a bunch of the Southern Lights players who are on our group, and I don't know if they look at it. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Doesn't really matter. None of this stuff is confidential. It's general play, and the key is who executes better. It's like when our two teams play each other. It's just who does it better. It's the same game plan.
What's the ladder board looking like?
You can look at it yourself. You don't need
Has it been updated since?
Yeah, updated after every game. Done straight away.
Oh, okay.
I haven't done a state of the young end.
Oh, that's what I was referring to. Yeah.
You can look at the ladder. That's on iceHQ.hockeysite.com. Plus links to all the videos, all the games, and all the statistics and that sort of thing. You can see that Mia has scored no goals yet.
Yet. There's still hope.
We'll get one. You're in the right place, the right time. Sooner or later it'll happen. You get shots on the net. Sooner or later, one of them will go in. If you don't get shots on the net, they won't.
Exactly.
Stop missing. Make the goalie work. I'm not saying you, but as across the board. You have a shot on the net and it misses the net, it's a waste of a shot.
I keep falling every time I take a shot. It's like,
yeah, but
100% gonna fall.
You must put the puck actually where if the goalie wasn't there, it would go in. That's the key. Because if you don't, it's definitely not going in. Got to make the goalie work. A lot of people are trying to go top shelf and these fancy shots. No, just put the thing on the net. See what happens. Goalies make mistakes. Goalies have 5 holes. Most goals go 5-hole anyway. 5 holes between the goalie's legs. It's the best place to put it because most goalies don't butterfly terribly quickly. Get a quick shot away on them before they get a chance to get down. It goes through the legs. It's where the goals are. What NHL goals are probably 30-40% 5-hole, which is a lot. Very rare they go top cheese and bounce off the top bar and sneak in. It's nice. It makes the highlight reels when it happens, but it's pretty rare. Alrighty. I'll put the videos up in the Facebook group so you can all see them, and we are done. Thank you very much. Our next session of official team stuff is in January, and it's training session.
24 days, 21 hours.
Try and encourage your teammates to come to it, because there's you want teammates to get better, they've got to come to training sessions. I mean, you don't have to, it's not compulsory, and I understand life does what it does. And everyone's doing these for different reasons and has different amounts of time. But the more you can get your teammates, again, leadership role as a centre, the more you can get your teammates involved, the better it is for everyone. Organise public skating sessions and get together, do the Mighty Ducks thing and skate around, get public sessions and stick and pucks and scrimmages and all that sort of stuff. Do as many as you can. The more the better. There's no substitute for ice time. And the more you get your teammates doing it, the more they'll improve, which means the more you can trust them. Okay. Righty. Good night, everyone.
Thanks, Carl.
Thanks, Carl. Thanks, guys. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
What? Bye, Carl. This is Max. It's Max. The Goldie Max.
I know who you are, Max. All right, guys, I will see you at some point.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
See you. Bye.